What's going on, Guardians? My name is the Black Link, and today is August 20th, 2020, a Thursday. You know what that means. It's time for another issue of the Bungie Weekly Blog, This Week at Bungie. And we're just going to jump right on into this one because there's a lot of stuff to talk about. This week, we learned a lot about the incoming Destiny Content Vault. For those who don't know, when Beyond Light comes out on its new release date of November 10th, I do believe, Destiny Content Vaulting is going to begin. Some destinations, activities, and in-game events are going to be going away into the vault, as it were, to make room for new game content. And this week's TWAB, we learn all about how that's going to work. Let's go ahead and dive on in. This week at Bungie, we're sharing more details on the Destiny Content Vault. Back in June, we introduced the concept of the Destiny Content Vault, an approach to evolving the game that will allow us to add new content, bring back some of Destiny's greatest hits from the past, and support Destiny 2 for years to come. As a quick refresher, when Year 4 kicks off on November 10th, Io, Titan, Mars, Mercury, and the Leviathan will all enter the Destiny Content Vault to make room for Cosmodrome's return and Europa's debut. Since announcing the DCV, we know there have been a lot of questions about what's going away and how game systems will evolve to reflect the more dynamic nature of Destiny 2's future. Most questions are answered by this rule of thumb. When a destination goes into the DCV, so too do its PvE activities and associated rewards. But there are some edge cases, and we want to be crystal clear with players about the details of what's staying and what's going so there's no confusion and everyone can prepare. Today, we're going to explore what Destiny 2 will look like on November 10th. Then, we're going to spend some time helping you plan your gameplay to finish up your quests, earn your triumphs, and complete your collections before November 10th. Alright. So that is the introduction into the Destiny Content Vault conversation we're having this week. Next up, we get to learn about what is exactly changing with some of the core activities. Core activities, of course, in Destiny 2 are strikes, Crucible, Gambit, raids, and dungeons. First up, here's the way strikes are going to be changing on November 10th. And of course, the easiest way to cover this is just to tell you what strikes are going to be going into the content vault itself. That's the stuff over on the right-hand side of this chart they've got here. So, because Io's going away, that means the Pyramidion and the Festering Core are also going to be disappearing. For Titan, Savathun's Song is going to be going away. For Mars, that means Strange Terrain and the Will of the Thousands. And then for Mercury, of course, the strikes, the Tree of Probabilities, and a Garden World will be disappearing. But if you take a look at the bottom left half of this chart, of course, we are going to be getting the Will of Crota strike as a part of the Cosmodrome coming back in November, on November 10th. And then, of course, a special strike that'll be dropping for Europa, the new world space. That's redacted right now. The Devil's Lair and Fallen Saber strikes will also be returning to the Cosmodrome, but that'll be happening in Year 4, so next year. Next up, we've got the changes for Gambit and Gambit Prime. As a reminder, Gambit and Gambit Prime will be merging into a single experience when Year 4 kicks off on November 10th. The new version of Gambit will be similar to Gambit Prime as a single round face-off with tweaked blockers, heavier moat drain, and some changes to the primeval fight. We will give more details on these updates before the revamp mode goes live next season. Now, unlike strikes and other PvE content, the Year 4 Gambit playlist map selection is a best of list and is one of those edge cases that Bungie mentioned earlier. And they felt it was important to keep these select Gambit maps in rotation for the best competitive play, regardless of their destination's fictional state. So here are the Gambit maps that are going to be going into the Destiny Content Vault: the Cathedral of Stars from the Dreaming City and the Kel's Grave from the Tangled Shore. The maps that are going to be available on November 10th, however, are going to be the Emerald Coast, Legion's Folly, Deep Six, and New Arcadia. Additionally, there's going to be some changes to the Gambit Prime armor perks. Bungie goes on to note that those perks will be deprecated. They're exploring new ways to rebalance and reintroduce some of these perks as armor mods in the future. Alongside these changes, we'll be rotating some maps into the Destiny Content Vault while retaining popular areas for the mode. And I gotta say, big changes there with Gambit. I am happy that they are going to be merging the two modes into one. They talked about doing that even as far back as like a year ago. I'm really happy to hear about the change to the Gambit Prime armor perks. I'm super glad that those are going to become mods because as it was right now, nobody's really running Reckoning to get a full set of collector gear or invader gear or any of that kind of stuff. So I'm glad that moving forward with this new Gambit Prime mode, that they're going to be adding some of those crazy powerful perks. Because remember, the Gambit Prime armor perks are really, really strong in Gambit Prime. I'm glad they're going to be turning those into mods instead. All right, let's move on with this list. Next up, changes coming to the Crucible. Like Gambit, the new Crucible map playlist will be a curated best of mix and will be pulled from both Destiny 1 and Destiny 2's Legacy. Here is a look at the planned rotation in Year 4 as well as the maps being vaulted. As we've done before, we're going to start with the stuff that's going into the vault. So these maps will be disappearing on November 10th. Meltdown, Solitude, Retribution, sad about that one, The Citadel, Emperor's Respite, Equinox, Eternity, Firebase Echo, Gambler's Ruin, Legion's Gulch, and Vostok. And of that list, I think everybody's probably pretty happy to see Vostok go away. But there are some pretty good maps that are going to be disappearing on November 10th. Again, Retribution makes me sad. But the available maps you're going to have are this: Bannerfall, Exodus Blue, Rusted Lands, Twilight Gap, Altar of Flame, The Anomaly, The Burnout, Cauldron, Convergence, The Dead Cliffs, Distant Shore, Endless Vale, The Fortress, Fragment, Javelin 4, Midtown, Pacifica, Radiant Cliffs, Widow's Court, and Wormhaven. So those will be the maps that are going to be still available for you to play on when November 10th rolls around. Thankfully, they didn't get rid of some of the better maps like Javelin 4 and whatnot. That would have been heartbreaking if Javelin 4 went away. But that's not all they have to say about the Crucible. As Year 4 starts, we're also taking the opportunity to focus the Crucible experience by reducing the number of PvP playlists and modes to those that receive the most play. Kinda happy about that. This will increase the matchmaking pools for the remaining playlists and make it easier to find matches with better connections. We'll have a full preview of Crucible changes later this season, but here's a preview of modes that will be active and modes that will be transitioning into the Destiny content vault. Alright, so here's the game modes that are going to be moving into the DCV on November 10th. Supremacy, ooh, that one hurts me. Countdown, Lockdown, Breakthrough, Doubles, Momentum Control, which really hurts. We've got some more news on that coming up soon. And Scorched. So those are the game modes that are going to be heading into the DCV at the end there. But they did give us a note to expect Momentum Control and Scorched to return from the DCV at some point during Year 4, so next year. Very happy about that. Momentum Control is a fun game mode. That, of course, means that these game modes will be persisting throughout November 10th. Rumble, Clash, Control and Iron Banner Control, Elimination and of course Trials of Osiris, Showdown, Survival, and Mayhem Clash. So those will be your core PvP game modes when Beyond Light drops. Next up, they gave us a quick note about Trials of Osiris. In case it's not clear from the note above, the Trials of Osiris experience is not impacted by other content moving into the DCV this year. The Lighthouse will continue to be available to those who are able to complete a flawless passage. So don't worry, Trials isn't going anywhere. After that, we learn about what's going to be happening with raids and dungeons. No dungeons will be rotating into the Destiny content vault this November, as all dungeon hosting destinations will remain active in the game during Year 4. Note that the Prophecy Dungeon will become temporarily unavailable for a brief period to allow our team to make a necessary technical update. Expect details and dates on that coming soon. So no dungeons are going to be heading into the Destiny content vault, at least throughout Year 4. However, some raids will be disappearing. Those raids are going to be the Leviathan, the Eater of Worlds, the Spire of Stars, the Scourge of the Past, which was kind of surprising, and Crown of Sorrows. Meaning that the only raids we'll have to play in Beyond Light will be Garden of Salvation, Last Wish, and whatever redacted raid is going to be dropping with Beyond Light. So if you're going to be trying to grab some of those raid rewards from the raids that are currently active now, you're going to want to get those before Beyond Light comes out. Because again, all that kind of stuff, everything tied to Leviathan, the Scourge of the Past, the Crown of Sorrows, all that is going to be going away. Make sure you get that done before November 10th. Moving on from there, of course, a lot of exotic quests are also going to be entering the Destiny content vault. And these are going to be the exotic quests that grant you the Sturm, the Might of Multitool, the Rat King, the Legend of Acreus, Sleeper Simulant, Polaris Lance, Worldline Zero, Ace of Spades, The Last Word, Le Monarch, Jotun, Izanagi's Burden, Thorn, Lumina, Truth, and Bad Juju. So if you haven't finished any of the quests or activities required to get those, like Forges for Jotun, you're going to want to go ahead and get that done before November 10th. Although they do note that these exotics aren't being removed from the game. It's just their original acquisition journeys. The quests and activities that you had to do to get these things are going to be going away. So it's very likely these things will either pop up on the Cryptarch, like what some of the current seasonal exotics do, or they'll just be randomly dropped exotics in the game. So complete your collection now. Additionally, some exotic catalysts are going to be going into the DCV as well, meaning you're going to have to go and get those things pretty quickly if you want to have the catalyst for stuff like the Bad Juju, the Huckleberry, Izanagi's Burden, Legend of Acreus, Polaris Lance, Skyburner's Oath, Sleeper Simulant, Telesto, Outbreak Perfected, Whisper of the Worm, and the Worldline Zero. It's worth noting that if you have these catalysts already equipped and their objectives completed, you can continue using them at your leisure. But if you've got the catalyst but haven't completed the challenges tied to them, you're going to want to make sure you do that before the Destiny Content Vault goes live. And of course, they go on to note that all of those catalysts will eventually come out of the vault. They'll come back out of the vault and be made available with new objectives if needed in a future season. But if you want to get that stuff completed now, get it done before November 10th. But all right, there we go. That's some of the biggest questions about the Destiny Content Vault that were answered in this week's TWAB. They go on and do an additional FAQ section with additional probably common questions that a lot of people have. So make sure you head down to that article and read them. Hopefully it'll answer any lingering questions you might have. Of course, there'll be a link to the TWAB down in the description box below. One particularly good question that I know I had was how are new players going to be experiencing the game when all of this content is going to be getting vaulted? Thankfully, Bungie answers that one. They say that with some of the core Year 1 destinations entering the vault, it's true that the free-for-all players Red War, Curse of Osiris, and Warmind campaigns will no longer be playable. And so to address that, they're building a new expanded Guardian origin story on the Cosmodrome that will launch alongside Year 4 and be available to all Guardians to play. It's designed to introduce you to the world and the mechanics of Destiny and prepare you to play the action MMO game we all enjoy. The Forsaken and Shadowkeep story campaigns will still be replayable in Year 4 for owners of those expansions. Alright, now that we're done with all that, the next bit of news we have to talk about is, of course, the Twitch Prime rewards as they're being updated once again. If you've got a Twitch Prime account, you can actually link it to Bungie's website in your Bungie account to get exclusive Eververse items in-game. There will, of course, be a link for that down in the description box below as well. You can find it in the TWAB itself. But this time around, the rewards are going to be the Standoff exotic emote, the Neon Helix exotic ghost shell, the Vespalazer exotic sparrow, and the EdgeB01X legendary ship. Once you've linked up your Bungie account with your Twitch Prime account, you can head in-game over to Amanda Holiday, who will have your reward. And then you'll be able to check back in next month where they'll have a new shipment of Prime Gaming rewards for you to pick up from Amanda Holiday. But alright, Guardians, that is pretty much it for the biggest bits of news contained in this week's issue of the Bungie Weekly blog, This Week at Bungie. There was a lot of really good information about the Destiny Content Vault and what content exactly is going to be disappearing on November 10th. Hopefully it answered a lot of your questions. Like I said before, if you have any more, they did a nice sort of Q&A FAQ section in the TWAB that answered even more questions than what we covered here. So make sure you hit that link, head there and read it for yourself to clear up any other issues. But anyways, that's the news and those are my thoughts. Be sure to leave me yours down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to drop a like, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with all the latest stuff we're putting out. But I'm out for now. Thank you all so much for watching. And as always, I am the Black Link. You Guardians, stay frosty.